So, right before Avengers Endgame came out, and basically closed this massive 10-year chapter of movie history, the original cast did something pretty special. They all sat down with Jimmy Kimmel, one last time. And you could tell right away this wasn't just another stop on the press tour. No, this felt different. It was like a final, really honest reunion. A chance for them, and for us, to just kind of look back before it all came to an end.
And Jimmy Kimmel, man, he set the tone right from the jump. You could just feel it in the room. This was a big deal. He basically said what every single fan out there was thinking. This was probably it. The last time we'd ever see this core group all together like this, celebrating this absolutely insane journey they'd all been on. And what a journey, right? I mean, it's actually kind of easy to forget just how massive the scale of this whole thing was. 21 movies. Think about that. Over a decade of stories, all woven together, all leading to this one gigantic conclusion. So yeah, this get-together, it wasn't just for one movie. It was for the whole darn saga.
So naturally, with the end so close, they started looking back. They got into some of their most memorable moments on screen. And as it turns out, that meant talking about everything, from the lines they absolutely cringed over to the ones that became, completely iconic.
So let's start with the cringeworthy. Have you ever wondered what it's like to have to deliver those mouthfuls of super complex technical jargon? Well, Scarlett Johansson had a story about one line in particular that was so bad, she still cringes just thinking about it.
Yep, that's the one. Bogey is converging on the Oracle Pavilion. Lock and load. I mean, what does that even mean? She said she's just terrible with all that techie jargon, and this line, which was from some Iron Man 2 reshoots, was a total nightmare for her. But here's the best part, the truly amazing part. Her suspicion is that it was so bad that the director, Jon Favreau, might have secretly just dubbed over her voice with his own. Can you imagine?
All right, so we've gone from a line that might have been secretly erased to one that became an absolute all-time fan favorite. Let's switch gears to Chris Hemsworth and a line from Thor Ragnarok that almost didn't even happen.
You know the one. He's in the middle of this gladiator arena, right? He looks over, he sees the Hulk, and then he delivers this perfectly normal, absolutely hilarious line. It is just a moment of pure comedic gold that completely nails the vibe of Thor Ragnarok.
But the story behind this line is even better. This is where it gets really special. Hemsworth revealed that that line was never even in the script. It came from a young fan from the Make-A-Wish Foundation who was visiting the set that day. Isn't that incredible? To think that a kid gave them one of the single most iconic lines in the whole movie?
Now, this connection between the actors, it went way beyond just what we saw on screen. They decided to mark this whole journey with something, well, a little more permanent. We're talking matching tattoos.
And pretty much everyone was on board. So Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans were the ones who really pushed for it, and 5 of the original 6 Avengers ended up getting inked. So who was the one person who said no? Mark Ruffalo. And the reason is just perfect. The man who plays the giant, indestructible Hulk chickened out because he's afraid of needles. You can't make this stuff up.
And their friendship off-screen was really this awesome mix of genuine love for each other, hilarious one-upmanship, and on the other hand, some truly heroic acts of kindness.
Okay, so at the time, you have to remember, wild fan theories about Endgame were just everywhere, and the cast was having a blast with it. Jimmy Kimmel even went there. He brought up the most infamous theory of them all. You know the one involving Ant-Man and Thanos. Now, Jimmy shared his own, let's call it a cleaner version of the theory. But Paul Rudd, he was a vault. He wouldn't say a thing, just joked that Kimmel's idea had a slight difference.
Okay, this next part is just fantastic. The cast told this story about a running gag they had with birthday gifts that just kept escalating to absurd levels. So it starts off normal enough, right? Scarlett gives Robert Downey Jr. some sunflowers. Then RDJ gets Paul Rudd an alpaca named Dennis. Then Paul Rudd gets Scarlett a hot air balloon. It just keeps going, a super yacht, an entire NFL team. And then there's Chris Hemsworth, who just brings the whole thing crashing back down to reality. His gift to RDJ? A roll of tape. Just a roll of tape. Perfect.
And speaking of Chris Hemsworth, he shared what he himself called a wildly irresponsible parenting story. So, picture this. He's at Disneyland, and his daughter is just a little too short for the Tower of Terror. So what does he do? He stuffs Snickers bars in her shoes to make her tall enough. And it worked. She got on the ride. But then, the ride drops and she literally flies right out of her seat. He had to hold her down while she was screaming. His big takeaway from all this? Yeah, maybe those height requirements actually exist for a reason. But you know, for all the jokes and silly stories, there is a very serious side to this team. And this is where they really shine. They use their star power for some incredible good, announcing a massive $5 million donation to support children's hospitals. It was just a powerful reminder that these guys are heroes, both on and off the screen.
So, as the interview and really their time together started to wind down, there was one last thing to do. One final gesture that just perfectly captured the relationship this cast has always had with its fans.
Their last big act together on the show was a gift. As a final thank you to the people who made this whole thing possible, they completely surprised the entire studio audience with free tickets to go see Avengers Endgame in IMAX. What a class act.
Honestly, this whole interview was just a perfect snapshot of their dynamic, wasn't it? It was hilarious, it was heartfelt, and yeah, it was a little chaotic. It really just captured the end of a totally unique chapter in movie history. And so it leaves all of us with one big question. After a decade of all the battles, the one-liners, and the sacrifices, what's the one thing from this incredible journey that's going to stick with you the most?